So today we talked about the Instagram algorithm and really how it works, not because we want to game the system or manipulate it, but understand why it does the things it does. And one of the biggest misconceptions that people have is that Facebook and Instagram are the same thing. And they assume that if Facebook makes a change, that Instagram has done the same thing, and they do not. That was my biggest probably takeaway, is that realizing that they are different. Facebook is a big popularity contest. Instagram is an individual component. So as people interact with your content, you rank higher in their feeds. But just because everybody likes it doesn't mean other people are necessarily going to see it any differently. It's an individual interaction. So we talked a lot about that. We dove into the different kind of specific algorithms. So we talked about hashtag algorithms and looking at that in search. We talked about the story algorithm, so Instagram stories, and then the feed, and how these are all in a sense mutually exclusive of each other, and that just because you're doing one, it does not impact the other. And you really have to keep the focus of your content targeted to the right audience in each of those capacities to really rank for the results you want. So one of the things after we had our panel was one of the things I talked about was the small group environment. So when you reply to an Instagram story, it goes to a direct message. It's a private conversation. There's no public counts of likes. There's no, comments other people can read. And this is a big shift in why I think people are getting better relationships. And I always say Instagram is the best community building tool. It's where you are going to really get those relationships. And it's tools like that enable that, where I was literally just saying to somebody, I'm like, I have 18,000 followers, and I don't know every one of them, but I know a lot of them because I have tons of direct messages going on where they reply to a story, or they ask me a question, or they see something I posted and they want clarity, or they just need help on something, and they don't email me, they don't, hit me up in, my Facebook page, they're sending me a DM on Instagram and having a private one-on-one conversation, which allows for real brand development that you don't get in a lot of other platforms. Facebook groups can be good, you obviously have Facebook Messenger, but people tend to be a little reluctant to Facebook Messenger to chat with brands. It's like that thing pops up and you're like, why would I want to talk to you? But on Instagram, the DM is a very natural environment for people to interact with, and they get that kind of communication with you and build that relationship. So one of the things they talked about is less is more when it comes to Instagram. And I have my ranking system where I'm like, if it's okay content, you put it on Twitter. If it's good content, you can put it on Facebook. And if it's amazing, then you put it on Instagram. You want the really best content because it isn't a popularity contest. And you really have to find what we call that thumb-stopping content. What's gonna get somebody to stop scrolling? Because Instagram is that quick, everyone's scrolling quick and throwing up a double tap. What's gonna make them stop? What's gonna make them scroll back? What's gonna make them click the ... more? What's gonna make them interact with that content to drive those conversions for you? And people tell me all the time, they're like, oh, you teach Instagram, how hard is it to upload a photo? And I was like, oh honey, if it was that easy, I wouldn't have a job. But I can talk strategy for 6 hours, on Instagram. There's so many components to it, but it really is getting that thumb-stopping content, getting something that catches their attention. And once you have that, then you have that really good caption. And in there you can have either call to action, they're leaving a question, they're clicking on a link in your bio, they're just getting information, maybe they're going to your stories, whatever that is, you're having that dialogue with them in that capacity. But it all comes from creating that really good piece of visual content that appeals to the audience. Not what you want, not what you want to tell them, not what photo you want to share, but what's actually going to connect with them. That's what you need to be sharing. One last thing, have fun. Oh my gosh, it's Instagram. People can try so hard to do the algorithm and do all this content. And it's when they throw up some random whimsical Instagram story that all of a sudden they get all these impressions and people are replying like crazy and they're like, what happened? I'm like, you let your hair down. People want to have fun on Instagram. They don't want to be sold to. They don't want to be corporate talked to. They want it to be fun and engaging. And when you let that down and have that fun factor included, you're more likely to get those results. And being fun doesn't mean throwing away education. It doesn't mean throwing away value. You're just doing it in a way that actually is entertaining and fun and engaging, and they actually want to be a part of it.